This here is one of a few bonus videos that I like to do, and the purpose of this demo video is to show you the significance of the bouncing ball and how it pertains to character animation. You've been doing the bouncing ball quite a bit, and you're probably wondering, oh, what does this have to do with doing some character animation? And I'm here to show you that the bouncing ball is very significant and has a lot of the principles that you can put into your character animation. So what I've done here is I've set up a scene of this little image of a squirrel running in the background. It's just a little image sequence. And I want to show you a little Maya issue here. If I were to play this, and you can see that it's kind of running erratically, and it's not really running accurately to the speed. And the reason for this is if we were to go into the Maya preferences down here in the lower right hand corner here, there's an icon, little running guy, if you can see that. And if you press on your Maya preferences, this will show you a bunch of the settings that you can preset the way that you like it. If you were to go down towards the bottom here, settings, time slider, you will see that the playback speed says play every frame. And you want to go and do the pull down menu and change that to real time, 24 frames per second or 30 frames per second, depending on what your setting is. We're going to be animating at 24 frames per second. And if you press save and do the playback, you will see that it's running more realistically and accurately. Okay, so I have a 7-frame cycle here, so it repeats itself after 7 frames. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these spheres, these red balls that I've created, and I'm going to go to frame 1, and I'm going to move this first red ball up into his head area there. And I'm going to keyframe it by pressing S, and it'll make a keyframe. I'm going to go to frame 2, and then I'm going to move the ball to the head area and keyframe it. Go to frame 3, and I'm going to move the ball to the squirrel's head. Go to frame 4, do the same thing. Go to frame 5, move the ball to the squirrel's head, keyframe it. Go to frame 6, moves just a little bit there, keyframe it. And then frame 7, the last frame, I'm going to move the ball to the squirrel's head and keyframe it. Now if I were to play it, and the ball is moving in the same area as the squirrel's head, you can see, what have you got here? A little bouncing ball. Let's turn off the background and kind of look at the ball in isolation. And what we've got here is, of course, a bouncing ball. If I were to turn this back on, turn the ball off, you can see, let's just put that in a layer here. Let's create a layer, call it ball layer, and save that. I have to call it something else, ball. And if I were to turn the ball off and play it, you can see how the bouncing ball and the squirrel motion are the same. Well, let's do a little bit more here. Let's take this ball here and let's go to the tail. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this ball. If you go Control D, that'll duplicate another ball there. And I'm just going to sort of draw off of this main ball here. And let's start with, let's start with the end of the tail there. And I'm going to reduce the size of this ball a little bit. And then I'm going to move it to frame 1, like there. I'm going to keyframe it. Frame 2, keyframe it. Frame 3, keyframe. and to frame 7. And we have a little cycle there. Let's make another ball. Let's duplicate this and make another sphere. Let's go to frame 1 and let's do like this almost to the end of the tail part here. I'm going to reduce the size a little bit. Let's scale that down just a bit. And we're going to go frame 1. We're just going to do the same process that we've done before. Keeping that sphere, that ball, in the same location as the tail area that we're tracking. And there we go. Let's do one more. Let's duplicate this sphere again. Go to frame 1 and let's go to this area here. I'm going to just reduce the size a little bit. And go to frame 1. Let's keyframe. Keyframe. And do that and go to, you notice that this area of the tail doesn't really move as much as the other areas. Let's take a look. And you can see how we've got little bouncing balls at different rates, offset from each other. But again, the same principle applies. I'm going to do one more. Control duplicate. And let's just reduce it. And I'm gonna track this area here towards where the tail connects to the squirrel's body. And just go through and keyframe this area here, the ball to the squirrel's body there. And one more, 7. Good thing there's only 7 frames here. Makes it quite a bit easier. Now you can see how each one of these bouncing ball has its own little rate, but again it is starting to take the shape of the squirrel. I'm going to do just one more before we move on. I'm going to duplicate the sphere and I'm going to make it real small. This is going to become the feet of the squirrel. I'll make it big enough so you can see it. And I'm going to make this the front foot here. And let's do that. It's about there. Kind of gets a little hard to see here. The quality of this image isn't great, but it gets the point across. And let's just see how this looks. Awesome. And let's just do one more just for kicks here. I'm going to duplicate that, move it, let's scale it down. I'm going to make this the back feet. Make it a little bigger. That's about where the back feet are. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of get the point across, and ooh, it goes way up there. Oops. And let's start bringing the feet forward. Of course, there are 2 back feet. And let's just see what this looks like. See, that's going pretty fast. Now, let's start doing the body here. And I'm going to do his butt section here. And just track that little hind section of the squirrel. And this is also good to see because you can study movement and anatomy of animals here. It kind of lets you study one element of the animal's body at a time. And let's just do one more. I know I keep saying just one more, but I mean it this time. I'm only going to do one more. And let's do the front part of the body. His shoulder area there. And again, you can look and you can study to see how different areas of the anatomy react and move. And this is a good way to study different anatomy, animal anatomy, even human anatomy. If you were to get some human video, you could probably do the same thing here. So there we go. There's the squirrel ball. Let's turn off the background and take a look and see what this looks like. Let's get this ball out of the way. And there you have. It kind of looks a little bit like a caterpillar, but if you were to be doing some complex animation, if you were to break down each element of the body, either human or animal, using the bouncing ball as a reference, you can get some very effective animation that way. Thank you for watching.